Hi, Stephanie. I am not sure how to pronounce your middle name. I googled it and it said it was pronounced Ranade. If I am mispronouncing it, and it's actually Ranade or Ranade or something, I am sorry. Stephanie, my name is Adrienne Floreen, and I am recording this video for you because in the article you wrote about yourself, you described yourself as an advocate for women and children. Now, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and assume that you really actually do care about women and children, and that when you wrote this article about yourself and when you sponsored anti-abortion bills and were the leader of a pro-life organization, that you were doing this out of the goodness of your heart, and you really actually do care about women. And the reason I am recording this video for you is that I tweeted you saying I wanted to discuss this article from the Columbus Dispatch out of Columbus, Ohio, that you wrote about yourself. And you replied to my tweet saying that you were going to converse with me. So then I replied to your reply with several tweets that you have not yet responded to. Perhaps you thought that I was an internet troll, or perhaps you thought that I was a liberal, lesbian, abortion lover, tweeting you only for the purpose of harassing you, or something. But I actually seriously want to give you advice about how to be a better author, because you are an author, you wrote this article, and how to better help women, if that is actually your true goal. So, this is the article, and that is not a picture of you, Stephanie. They put your picture somewhere in the middle of the article that you wrote about yourself. From the Columbus Dispatch. I'm going to read you the article you wrote about yourself and give you some constructive criticism and some suggestions on how you could help women faster than you say you're going to do in this article. The article is called Pro-Lifer. I am prepared to stay in it for the long haul. Work for babies, mom's not over. By Stephanie Ranade Krider, guest columnist. They called you a guest columnist. Stephanie Ranade Krider is the former vice president and executive director of Ohio Right to Life and remains an advocate for women and children. And this is what she wrote. I was in the room as Ohio Governor Mike DeWine signed the Heartbeat Bill into law in 2019. As the executive director of Ohio Right to Life at the time, the mood was celebratory, though we knew the law would not go into effect then. That afternoon, and for the week that followed, a whole week, we told news outlets that this was the time to put in the work to prepare for the day the bill would go into effect, fully believing that day would come within just a few years. Well, apparently, you guys didn't actually put in that work. After that 1 week, you said that it was time to do so, because this is what you wrote in the next paragraph. With the sudden and almost surreal fall of Roe, it is now past time to decide if we as a state truly care about vulnerable women and their children. If we find that we truly care, we must reject the past dichotomy of the American debate over abortion. Pro-life and pro-choice only have meaning insofar as our political parties have subsumed the meaning, twisting both sides into moral absolutes with no room for the heresy of gray areas. The question we all face now is much simpler. Do we value women and children or not? If so, what policies should we be considering that would make a difference? There are actions our state and federal lawmakers can take now that will meaningfully assist these families since the heartbeat law took effect just weeks ago. In a post-Roe Ohio, we need to get to work immediately. Right now, there is a group of infant mortality and housing advocates seeking funding from the state for the Healthy Beginnings at Home program, seeking to provide stable housing and eliminate homelessness for expectant mothers and the dire health risks and costs that come with it. The original pilot program followed 100 families in the Columbus area from 2018 to 2021. Aside from finding significant measurable monetary savings to Medicaid and other programs, the project found that in the housing intervention group of 49 families, 41 out of 50 babies were born at full term and a healthy birth weight, compared to just 24 out of 44 babies in the control group. 4 babies in the control group tragically died before birth, while no babies were lost in the housing intervention group. Advocates are now attempting to expand this program to 300 families across the state, using $9 million in American Resource Plan Act funds. The state of Ohio has already been granted. This is the part of your article I tweeted you about, Stephanie. I have a question about this expansion of the program. Are you going to have 150 women? How is and 150 in your next control group? So you replied to my tweet saying you wanted to discuss this article and you were willing to discuss it with me. The first question I have is, why didn't you help all 100 women? And are you going to help all 300 when you expand this program? And why does it cost $9 million to help only 300 women, or potentially only 150 of them? The non-control group. In addition, the shortage of baby formula has been at crisis levels for months now. Supply chain problems aside, the issue seems directly related to the Federal Food and Drug Administration's tight regulatory control over the market and seemingly inadequate levels of staffing for formula inspection. Are you saying that the FDA shouldn't regulate baby formula safety? What are you saying in this paragraph? In May, Congress passed emergency legislation making it easier for WIC recipients, a long-standing federal safety net nutrition program, to find substitutes for the formula traditionally allowed on the program. Another failed bill would have approved $28 million to the FDA to address the shortage and prevent future shortages, but the bill had little detail as to how and no real debate. Now is the time for our congressional representatives of all parties to revisit such a measure and put in place safeguards to ensure that formula will be widely available as soon as possible. There is likely to remain widespread disagreement over the court's decision in Dobbs as we wrestle through the impact for our state. My hope is that we can all agree that the time is now to get serious about helping pregnant women and their children. As someone long involved in the pro-life movement, I am prepared to stay in it for the long haul. The post-Roe Ohio we worked for is here, and there is no time to waste. And then yet again, at the bottom it says, right here, see, Stephanie Ranade Krider is the former vice president and executive director of Ohio Right to Life and remains an advocate for women and children. All right, Stephanie, now that I have read your article that you wrote about yourself, to you, I hope you understand that it seems like a puff piece about yourself, promoting yourself as an advocate against women's rights to a lot of people. And if you had just left out all of this stuff like, I was there when the Ohio governor signed the heartbeat bill, and I have been an advocate, pro-life advocate, fighting for the rights of women for my whole life, and just wrote about what we needed to do, or what you wanted done to help women after Roe versus Wade got overturned, I would not have even known that you were a pro-life advocate or a friend of very powerful and wealthy Republicans. I would have thought you really wanted to help women. So if you really do, as you say, want to help women, first I'm going to advise you about what you should have done. Whenever you pass that heartbeat bill, which is apparently Ohio's trigger law. In that bill itself, you should have included what you're going to do to help all these pregnant women who don't want to be pregnant and now can't get abortions. The bill should have already included provisions to help the woman. When you started telling the media in 2019 that the time was now to start to find ways to help these women, it seems like you never actually followed suit and actually did it. So these trigger laws are basically insane, and it seems that the politicians who write them have abandoned all legal precedents and science, and they can write whatever in the heck they want in them. So why could they not write? And when Roe versus Wade gets overturned, and when abortion becomes immediately illegal, even in the case of rape and incest of a 10-year-old girl, all pregnant women will immediately get a $5,000 check. Now, don't tell me that the government can't afford that. If you believe that our government cannot afford that, ask a Ukrainian who got a free javelin from our government. Our government has unlimited financial resources, and they can afford whatever in the heck they want. So your trigger law or heartbeat bill or whatever should have included laws saying that they had to actually help the women who are not going to get abortions. And help does not mean WIC or signing up for welfare. Real help is with no strings attached. Real help means you don't have to prove you're worthy of it. Real help is not the government knocking on your door and saying, "Oh, we're here to help you. We want to help you. Do you need anything for your baby?" And then when you say no, saying, "Well, if you don't take our help, we'll take your baby." That's not help. Real help is not asking women to prove that they make under a certain income level. Real help is not asking women to take drug tests to prove they're not on drugs, or to say they're giving the woman's breast milk to the woman's baby, but then give the baby formula and test the breast milk for drugs. That's not real help. That's not real help, Stephanie. Real help is you help the person, and it feels like help to them. So I would like to advise you that if you want to actually portray yourself as someone who really wants to help women, you actually have to understand, what help feels like. If you want to portray yourself in a way that self-promotes yourself as, a person that people will like, the articles you write about yourself should only mention in passing that you were there when it happened with the governor of Ohio, your famous rich friend. The main point should be about how you want to help women. At the bottom of the article, at the end, you could say that you feel this way because you're pro-life, and you believe that being pro-life helps both women and babies. Something that many of the readers of the articles you write about yourself might disagree with, but you could say that. You could say that and come off as less entitled and less just completely unaware of the issues that might make women actually feel like they need abortions. Because I actually looked up the statistics on why women have abortions, and some women have abortions because their life is in danger, or because the fetus or the baby has some kind of birth defect, and a very small percentage of women have abortions because of rape or incest. But according to the study I read, 74% of women have abortions either because of financial instability or relationship difficulties. And there's a laundry list of reasons. Here's a screenshot real quick. So, in my opinion, if you wanted to prevent abortions, you could have just basically given those women enough money that they felt like they were not going to have financial difficulties. And another thing that you could have done is you could have passed laws that made it easier for victims of domestic violence to leave their partners There are actually some states, I'm not even sure what states they are. Maybe it's even some parts of Ohio, I don't know, but if it's not, it does happen in the USA where women are only allowed to call the police 3 times before they get kicked out of their housing. So if they're in an abusive relationship, they have to choose between calling the police and losing their housing. Like if it's the 3rd time he hit her and she calls the police and the police show up, she gets kicked out of her house. So how does that help her? Like, get rid of those laws? Like, I've got a lot of good suggestions for you on things that you could actually do if you really want to prevent women from having abortions, other than passing laws saying they can't do so. That might affect women who are having miscarriages, for example, who can't get medical treatment because the doctors are afraid of being accused of giving a woman an abortion. So when I tweeted you, it was coming from a place of me also wanting to help women and children, and me as a woman knowing what people consider help and why women might not want to take help that feels like an attack or an assault or a threat or controlling their life or prying into it or something like that. So if you really want to help women and you really want someone to give you advice on how you can seem not so like off-putting and not so privileged and not so just like absolutely tone deaf to the needs of actual women that you proclaim that you want to help in your article about yourself, please converse with me, which you said you were willing to do in your reply to my tweet. You can converse with me by commenting on this video. I will converse with you in the comment section of my YouTube video, Stephanie. And with that said, I am now going to end this video because my beautiful cat, Blue Dream, who's a little less beautiful after her ear got attacked by an animal. I'm so sorry, Blue Dream, wants to get on my lap and cuddle. Bye, Stephanie.